Hello and welcome to Super Saturdays, a comic book media podcast where each episode we'll be focusing on your favorite comic books, TV shows, and movies to figure out if these projects will stand the test of time. I'm your host, Damon A., and on today's episode, I am joined by the amazing.
Freddy from DMV Comic Book Nerds.
All right. Well, without further ado, on with the show. Okay, friend of the podcast, Freddy from DMV Comic Book Nerds. It is good to have you back here. I appreciate you coming on. Can you tell the soups at home a little bit about your show?
Thanks. Yeah, I'm so glad to be back. Damon, I gotta first give you your props because you were the one who inspired me to take the jump and get back into podcasting with the return of X-Men. What do you call it? X-Men '97. Um, you and I, we did the first two episodes, and and then on DMV Comic Book Nerds, I featured a variety of guests for the rest of the season, and you did also return for the big finale. So here we are to discuss the overall season. I'm very excited.
Well, shucks, dang, I appreciate that. Seriously, I actually needed
No,
to hear that. I really appreciate that.
no, I'm so thankful to you because it's been an amazing time. I'm like wow, because I had taken a little break from podcasting. DMV Comic Book com I started DMV Comic Book Nerds back in 2023, and then I took a little break. But then when you encouraged me to get back into it, I'm like, all right, let's go. And I've been, and we, so much has happened since. Like I transitioned from just an audio podcast to like a video podcast, and it's been growing and growing. So thank you again. I really appreciate all you've done to help me get there.
Much appreciated. I appreciate that, Freddie. Seriously, and it's been good having a conversation with you and everything. Outsiders doing shows and everything like that. So go check out DMV Comic Book Nerds. Pretty good
Yes.
commentary, and I'm happy to see what's gonna come from that. Um, but like you said, Freddie, we're gonna be talking about X-Men '97, and no, it is not Mutant March anymore, Soups, but we are coming back for a season wrap up. Freddie, when you came to me about doing X-Men '97, I told you, yo, we can, do the whole crossover and then do a season wrap up. And one of the reasons why is because I feel like there was going to be so much shit to talk about with the show that really caused its own discussion because there's
Yeah,
a
there's
lot
so
of
much left on the table for sure.
yeah, a lot of drama, a lot of action, a lot of messy, soap opera
Hmm.
shit. But you know what? I am so ready. But before we dive in, as always, Freddie, are you ready for some news roundup?
Freddy's ready.
All right. Well, Deadpool and Wolverine is coming out in July. Tickets are on sale now. This is not a paid promotion. Uh, and I'm not sure if we talked about this the last time we were on here or if we talked a little bit about it when we did our X-Men episodes. But what's your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I will admit I have a little bit of nervousness about it in the sense that this is Deadpool's big jump from Fox to the MCU, and we have been assured that we're getting the same thing, same creative team, same R rating, same just overall writing and stuff. But I guess I'm just nervous about it for a couple of reasons because first of all, we don't know what they're going to do with the X-Men really at this point. Like at least I don't know. Like I know we've got Wolverine and we've got a lot of other Fox X-Men that'll be there, but is this movie meant to destroy that universe or is it meant to bring it back? That remains to be seen. So that's a big question mark. Um, Also, will it be successful? Like this is the only major MCU movie this year, and it's coming hot off the heels of X-Men '97, which has been a big success. So I think you know this is going to be a test to see if there is crossover between people who enjoy live action and animation and comics, because I'm not sure that there always is a lot of crossover. Like, numbers came out for X Men '97, like they're good, but they're not better than the live action.
True.
So, um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be there. I haven't gotten my tickets yet, but what
Hmm.
about you?
I haven't got my tickets yet, and I'm not really like I'm excited, but I'm not really pressed uh, to really see it, and I'm really kind of intrigued. From what we know, it's alluded, and I think it's like maybe even be confirmed that the Wolverine that we're seeing isn't the original Wolverine. And for those who was listening online and not watching the video, I put quotes around not real Wolverine. Uh, I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm just curious. I'm not like I gotta go see this movie, but I'm intrigued. It was also announced this week that they may have found a writer for their X-Men reboot. So I'm honestly just intrigued. I'm looking at these movies and different projects with the open set of eyes and not really putting too much hype behind it anymore.
Yeah, like I definitely have a very wait and see kind of approach to it. Like, I'm definitely gonna see when it shows up. So until then, I just have to wait.
Okay, okay. All right, so we got another piece of information. Have you watched The Sandman or have you read The Sandman?
Oh yes, I read a lot of the Sandman books back when I was in college, I believe. And then when the show came out, I was all over it. I was very excited. I think they did a great job with season one, so I'll definitely be here for season two. Uh, I hear it's coming out soon. I don't know if they've released an exact date yet. Do you know about that?
I think they might have, but like I forgot. I do know they released a teaser finally, and it's funny you said you read Sandman in college because I read it when I was in college too. Uh, yeah, I read it because like a stupid ex of mine got it for me for my birthday. But great story, great book. That was
Great
the
art
book.
as well,
Uh,
man. Like
listen,
Dave McKean and like all the other artists who work on there.
amazing
Great
art,
stuff.
amazing art, and it was just fun. Season one of the show, I kind of like touched on it a little bit in the little comic review we did a while ago on the show. I like the show. I do. I feel like season one visually was just lacking.
Mm.
I think it was lacking. I think it was lacking. Casting was amazing. Story was great. Writing was great. But visuals, it just felt like a regular Netflix show, and I was just like, oh goddamn, you guys could have did something more creative. But seeing that teaser that came out, I want to say this week, even down to the makeup that the endless are having. I forgot the actor who plays Dream, but like the makeup that they have him in, his skin is like paler, and they like darkened his eyes. Something about that seems interesting, so I'm kind of intrigued. I wonder if they're going to have more of a like add a little bit more stylized look to the show.
Well, I think again, this is to me the drawback of live action. Like you really cannot do, the bright colors and the innovation, or like just like the grittiness or whatever was going on in the comic book. Because a lot was going on in the comic book.
Yeah, yeah,
like
a
there's
lot.
like I remember this one scene. I think it's like the first or second issue where like they enter this room full of like demon slime. It's like
No, that was
crazy
flesh on the wall.
flesh on the wall. Yeah, like
Yeah,
did they even try to do that in the show? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know they did. Like
Whatever they did, it didn't have the same impression. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like the show, it was still pretty faithful. Like I'd say it's like
Yeah.
one of the most faithful adaptations I've seen. But it was like faithful in all the other places except for like some of the visual like beats, I'd say.
I mean, I don't blame the show per se. I think it's just hard to,
Yeah.
really make live action as you know gripping as art. But
So, Freddie, got one more question for you. what did you love most about the original 90s show? And let me know if I already asked this question last time you were on, but I'm genuinely curious as to like what did you love about the original 90s show?
No, I think this is a fresh question, but then again, my mind can't remember everything. But I will say that for the '90s show, I think the thing I loved best was honestly just its boldness because they did not shy away from what makes the X-Men great. And they went hard. They actually innovated what the medium was doing with animation. Like, for example, they got into the serialized storytelling of the X-Men where you had to come back week to week and try to follow the episodes, even though they didn't air them in order. We were just trying to figure out like what is going on because this is part two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight of like the Dark Phoenix saga or whatever, and so you had the serialized element, you had the themes about bigotry and hatred, and like the mutants are hated and feared. Episode one, they come out the gate with fascist robots trying to kill teenagers who are mutants. So it's it's serious stuff, but they still found ways to make it fun and energetic and I just compare it to Batman the animated series, like another goated show, like one of my favorites growing up. But and they were on around the same time, but Batman had a different focus, and it had different themes. It was still a great show, but they didn't tackle the issues of um, being a minority or being oppressed people as much as the X Men did. And I also gotta give X Men for credit for having a female president in like the first episode in '92. Like it is 2024, we still don't have a woman in the White House. So it's like,
Facts, facts.
they were ahead of their time. Like they were really just doing like they were so ahead of their time. They were doing things that were currently happening in the comic books and just making up the story as they go. They're like, we don't really know who Cable is yet, but we will just kind of sprinkle in some stuff here and there and figure it out.
I think that's something I keep forgetting about the 92 series because I didn't watch the 90s show as much. Like that wasn't the show I grew up with cuz I'm younger.
I
Uh
know we're both X Men Evolution fans, first and
yes.
foremost. I think so.
Yes, I love me some Evolution. And recently I got to sit down and like rewatch the show uh up until I want to say season 3 or 4. I got to go back. But I didn't finish the entire original series just yet, but I got kind of far. And something that like really crossed my mind since you brought up the whole Cable thing and just making it up as I go. It's so interesting to me that like comics were coming out concurrently. They were adding shit into there, but then they also were taking from the old Claremont shit and just
Mm-hmm.
melding it together as it goes, which is something about that is freaking wild. But wait, let's take it a step further. It's the fact that some of the shit that they melded in there, it kind of became public knowledge that, like, okay, well, I'm liking what's happening in the show. That's my headcanon for that character, and that might even influence some of the ways that the characters are depicted in the comics today. Still, it's that's interesting as hell.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I feel like the '90s series define some character elements that are unique to the series. I mean, in other media, for example, Storm will sometimes make dramatic, proclamations, but she did it the most in the '90s series. She was like thunder and lightning strike again, and like she was like that. That's what she was known for. Like that's what we wanted to see. And like, thank God they brought Alison Seeley Smith back, and she's still bringing us like these excellent lines and deliveries. So it's like you don't really get that as much in the other shows and movies. Like Halle Berry, she had her famous line. It's kind of a joke.
By
People kind of laugh about. What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The
the
same
same
thing
thing that
that
happens to
happens to
everything
everything
else.
else. Like, okay, like is that like I don't know. I don't know if that's really like a stunner line, but
Yeah,
it's memorable. But.
I think if it was like done differently, or either like more conviction, or if it, I don't, you know what, I can't even say that line. I
Or even
can't.
if it was more clever, like okay, so you're just gonna strike him with lightning. Okay, sorry, but I'm gonna
No, you're
answer
good. You're
that
good. I
question.
know that like when I had Tiffy on for X-Men retrospective, she added an extra piece and she was like, "It croaks." Okay,
See,
that's
that's
clever.
clever.
That's clever.
But they didn't think that far ahead, I guess.
I guess not. I guess not. You know, like I think that goes into some of the things I liked about the '90s show. I liked you could tell that this show was making history when I was watching it. Like I could kind of tell, and even like when I was a kid, it wasn't my bread and butter. Like I was like on the fence of whether or not I liked it, even though I had the VHS tapes, not all of them, but a couple of them, and I did watch them, and I grew to be a lot more fond of this show prior to getting to '97, and I think what I liked about it the most was just like the love that was shown to these characters, uh, the seriousness and respect, like how respectful these stories were, and that damn theme song,
Yes.
that damn
Like
theme
they had
song.
everything. They had that theme song. They had Gene and Scott yelling each other's names out every other episode. Like they had Rogue with her southernisms. Like you're as nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Like
Screaming.
like she would stay with her southernisms. Like I feel like in the comic books, like sometimes we get that, but like it's not as refined as it was in the show for some reason. Maybe it was the vocal delivery, or I don't know. But
All right, so X-Men '97. I want to know, Freddie, what was your favorite moments of this show and why? And actually, you know what? Before we give that though, just share your initial thoughts.
all right, so spoilers ahead, just to say, I'm gonna say what my overall thoughts were. I really enjoyed it. I was really impressed. I'm really glad that the care was put into making this show because, like, I was very nervous leading up to it. I was like, I wasn't sure what it was going to be. Like, we had a few little, previews of it. So now that I've seen the whole thing, I'm like, yes, they committed to making this the best that they could, and that's not to say it's not without its faults. Like I could complain about a few things here and there. Other people have had complaints as well, but like overall, it's pretty well received. It's getting like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, I think, and for me, it was a great time. Every episode was a banger. Even Motendo Life Death, like
I didn't like Motendo.
I know a lot of
I
people
didn't like
didn't.
Motendo. I would have preferred more Life Death. I'm sorry.
No, I mean I definitely wanted more life death. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying. I think Jubilee earned her moment. I think she deserved a moment. In the overall season, and it paid off too. Like she had an arc. It was small, but it was there.
I like that. Yeah.
So I like that, and I think just to answer the question, like it was overall, I thought it was great. And my favorite moment of the season, off the top of my head, I would probably say, I mean, I'm just gonna give it to Storm. When she was having her magical girl transformation, when she was overcoming her like her fears and her doubts about herself, and like embracing her truth that she is a god. She's a god. She's a hero. She survived all she's been through. Like like she is that girl. So
She's comfortable. She's
yes,
cozy, some would say.
exactly,
And like you said, she is that girl.
exactly. So how could I not give it to Storm? Like she had that epic transformation into her classic costume for the first time ever on a medium outside the comic. Well, I can't say that. She did wear that in like the old Pride of the X
Proud
Men,
of the
all
X-Men,
those
yeah.
old costumes, but like those old shows, but they were not at this level.
I just want to know, somebody on Twitter, they described the transformation as magical girl, which you said, but then they also were like, you mean to tell me she was busy transforming and she grew out her whole white hair, middle part bust down before saving Forge.
She was feeling herself. Like
She
she got her
was
hair done. She was like flying around, like looking in the water at her reflection. Like life was
smiling.
good.
Like, listen. You know what? You know what? And Forge is a real one because he let her do it. He was like, you know what? It's
Yes,
okay.
he
It's okay.
understood. He didn't have a problem with it. He was like, "I'll be here when you're done. Just come get me. Come save me,
Just
Storm."
you know what? That is relationship goals right there because he didn't stop her shine. If anything, he
Yes,
elevated the shine, and that's good. That's right there.
absolutely.
That's good.
So I will say, I think this show did a bit of Ford's redemption in my eyes. Like I didn't really like Forge too much from the comic books. And even in this show, like they kind of hint that in the past he didn't quite know what he was doing. Like why are you making these mutant control collars? Like what gave you that idea? But he realized he was wrong about that, and then he kind of got on a good foot with Storm and everybody. So
I'm still wrapping my head around when she said, "You of all people should know
right,
about dealing with." I was like, "Oh,
but you of all people,
oh,
like
what you mean by that, Storm?"
like
Like,
you're a mutant and a Native American, like, and you trusting Washington, like the government. Like, are you kidding me?
I love the double entendres. I'm here for it. I'm here for it because when I watched that, I was like, "Oh, I know that's right. Get
Yeah,
his
we all
ass.
clocked that one for
Get
real.
his ass."
Yes.
Completely. And you know, I already talked to you about it, but like I'm still reading Life Death, the actual like comic that those episodes are based off of. And so far, I gotta say, I like the Life Death episodes within the show. And from what I'm seeing in the book, it kind of made me wish that the Life Death episodes were longer. It kind of made me wish there
Yes.
was more of a slow burn with their
Yeah.
relationship. Because I was liking how in the comic, it was actually kind of like they both had attraction for each other, they both have interest, but they are nervous to communicate it. And it's like that whole, slowness to it and everything. I don't know.
Hmm.
I kind of wish that was
No.
the case in the
Yeah,
show.
I think everyone who's familiar with the comics is like, there's so much more they could have done with that. Like, just seeing Storm deep in her depression, like it's not fun to see, but it is like it's something that humanizes her, something that a lot of people can relate to. Like just that one panel of her like in the bed sheets, all like just really like cradled and just like really depressed. Like I'm surprised they didn't even try to show that image because it like that is what defines her struggle in life death. Like I don't know. Like I think there are so many moments that they could have done, but it was very sped up. It was very, you know,
Something about
I mean,
that
the whole
panel,
show, they were playing the hits.
and nothing was wrong. I had a great time. It felt like I was listening to like X Men's greatest hits, and I was okay with that. I was okay with that. Uh, Before we move on from Life Death, I gotta say that panel you just mentioned where Storm is in the bed and everything during her deep depression. It kind of reminded me of Daredevil Born Again. You know how like
Yeah.
yeah, like when he was in the bed and then you have like the different beginnings of each issue where he's laid out or like in bed or that type of stuff. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
really reminded me of. And there's something very this is gonna be a tangent, but something's like something about it is really interesting when you get to see those humanizing images of a superhero or a character within a comic book. Something about it, like if they're going to be in bed and there's a far out image, it's going to be heat.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be heat. They're going to go through hell, but it's going to be a good story.
I don't. I don't really know why they decided to only give her like half of an episode here and half of an episode there. I think part of it might have been just to have balance, I guess, because it is like a big ensemble cast, and they want to, balance maybe an A plot and a B plot, and I did notice some thematic parallels with like Life Death Part Two,
Hmm.
because both Storm and Professor X were trying to see if there was a life outside of the X Men before they came back to it in the end.
I gotta say, I loved all the character moments. Every single character had their own moment to shine, and I loved the returning to like just seeing the soap opera-ness of it. Like what I
Yeah.
like as I'm reading more X Men, what I'm noticing is that X Men drama with action. with like heart, with real life shit. And I gotta say, the episode, I think it was episode 3 is when Gene came back in
Yeah,
episode.
Fire Made Flesh. That's the Maddie episode.
Yeah, where Gene came back, or no, it might have been the Genosha. So that's episode 4, right?
So episode 5 was the Genosha episode.
Okay. Where Gene basically was like, had that arc fallout with Cyclops, and it was revealed that he was cheating on Jean with Madeline with the whole, mind thing. And when Jean like put
Hmm.
her finger up in his face and was like, "Galaxies beckoned for me, and I chose not to because of you." Wow, the
Meanwhile,
drama.
she over here kissing Wolverine, but no, we don't need to mention that in this moment, I suppose.
Listen. You know what? It's fine. I'll give it a pass. We will give it a pass.
We'll give it a pass. No, no, it didn't amount to much.
We'll
We can
give it a
bring on some
pass.
wrath.
Because then Scott tried gaslighting her afterwards and was like, "Well, she's the mother of my son," and
Like there was so much happening in the episode. Like Trish Tilby brought the camera. She was ready to go. She was like, "Oh, we can make a whole reality show out of
she
this."
was. Imagine, and this is the '90s. Imagine the real world, but with mutants.
Hmm. Like they could do their little interviews and then have their drama.
I'm really surprised that like no one has like decided to do like a little short or some type of like or something where they turn the X-Men into like a reality show and there's confessionals and shit like that. I'd love to see it.
That's a
Any
great idea.
honestly, any animators or fan artists, do it. Do it. 100%. I will pay
Yes.
for that. I'm being serious. I will pay for that. I would love to see it.
Awesome. You commission it. I'll come. I'll come see it. I'll come give it some likes.
Please do. Please do. But okay, so we talked about favorite moments. What would you say is your favorite episode, Freddie?
Oh wow. So we kind of discussed this on the DMV Comic Book Nerds podcast that we did. I think on that episode I was a little coy about it because like I feel like everyone's favorite episode was episode 5. Like it was like huge. It was titled "Remember It." Like they wanted you to remember this episode. They that's the one where they killed Gambit, and that's where they broke all of our hearts. And not only that, they destroyed Genosha after like introducing us to Genosha, only to reach the heights of like excitement and then to tear it all down
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Like that was quite shocking. But I mean, not unfamiliar territory for fans of the comics. But I mean, that was a huge one. But I think what I said in my podcast is I also want to give credit to the first episode for just coming out the gate strong, like introducing us to all these characters, like having amazing animation. I'll never forget that amazing fight scene with the Sentinels at the end of episode 1. Like
Yeah.
that scene is just perfect. Like the way each X Men has their own kind of like way of taking down the Sentinels, and oh my God, Storm when she gave him the forecast, like
I
that
love that.
moment was epic. Yeah, so like that, I'm gonna just say from episode 1 up, it was just like going uphill and not downhill, right? Like I think that's the metaphor. It was I don't know, like it was just great. What about you?
I kind of want to say episode 2, or I may even say episode 5. Um, but I'm really getting into episode 2, mainly because episode 2, it surprised. Like, I feel like that was the first inkling of me realizing that this show is going to be a lot more mature
Mm-hmm.
than previously thought. Uh, and then even down to just like it really resonated with me. It really did in a lot of different ways. Episode 2 did. Not only because the action was pretty good, but also the fact that they like showcased like the insurrection,
Mm-hmm.
and then on top of that, Magneto's monologue at the end
Yeah,
was very chilling.
so
Like
good. Oh my God.
amazing, amazing.
Magneto
Uh,
was so well written throughout this whole show. Like, oh my God, better than the '90s series, better than the movies. Dare I say? Like, I
something I was
love
gonna
it.
say that too. Like I was actually gonna ask you that question. Like, did you think he was like written better here than the movies? And You know something? It's funny that we were even on the top of this too. Topic of this too. I was watching X Men 2 the other day with my partner, and I was watching it, and I was like, I didn't remember Magneto being written to be so like a little bit more like sinister. Not the character sinister, but like a little bit more like less ambiguously on the side of good in the original movies. I was like, it's interesting because they're kind of writing him a little bit more to be like, oh yeah, this guy's a villain. And I'm like, huh, okay. Compared to what I'm like used to seeing in other places. But I would say his characterization in this show is very complex, very understanding, and very Magneto was fucking right. If I say myself.
Well, I mean, I have a lot to say about that, but I don't. Before we get into that, I just want to say like one scene that really compares the movies to this show for me is like in X-Men 3: The Last Stand,
Mm-hmm.
when Mystique gets cured, and then Magneto just looks at her with disgust and abandons her
Mm-hmm.
after she's been by his side this entire time. Whereas in X-Men 97, when Storm gets the power, when she takes a bullet for him,
Mm-hmm.
he is like pissed off, and like he that's when he makes his epic speech. Like that's when he takes them up into space and is about to like almost about to kill him until like he's like, you know what, I'll give y'all one more chance. Um but like I just feel like his characterization in that moment was just so much richer and deeper than what happened in the movie, and even other scenes too you could compare. Like there was a similar scene where they like in X2 when he made the mutants kind of like decide who they're going to go with, and then like Pyro joins him, and then I think some other people join him. Um, and so we had a similar moment here at the end of the season. So I mean, there's some similarities, but this show they went all in. Like they didn't shy away from having long dialogue scenes
Mm-hmm.
and just really getting into what makes these characters who they are. But I gotta ask you, so was Magneto right all the time, or just some of the time?
I mean, in my opinion, when it comes down to the question of was Magneto right, if we're talking like generally, I'd say, and I heard somebody say this a while ago, and honestly, I agree with that. I forgot exactly who. So if someone knows who said it, then let me know. Or if it's something I'm just pulling out of my ass, let me know too. So guys, keep me honest. Um, but it was that Magneto, him being right, is that on a base level, he's right in the fact that the humans are going to and have hated mutants. They're killing mutants.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing their disdain for mutants. They would
Mm-hmm.
wipe out mutants if given the chance. And that's not to say all of them would, but for the most part, they've shown that they all, like a vast majority of them, want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So the best part would not be to fight for coexistence. The best part would be we go our way, they go their way. When it comes down to that, he
I mean,
right.
I'm not arguing
He
that
right.
point. I mean, like, I definitely agree. Like, Magneto is right about most things
Mm-hmm.
up until. So here's where my point is. Like, I just feel like, you know, up until the episode, I guess it was episode 9. Um, you know, after he escaped Bastion, after he uh, caused the blackout and I guess upset the magnetic fields of Earth, then it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut and run. Like I'm not even gonna try to face Bastion and defeat him. Like he was basically running away from the situation,
Yeah.
and like he was going to take Asteroid M and take whatever mutants go with him and just leave, and like and leave the Earth to die. And like I mean that's a choice. You know, I mean some people will say it's the right choice, but for me, I'm like the rest of us we would be dead. Like so, like I'm fighting for
Yeah.
my life. And on top of that, it's just like um, I think yeah, I it's interesting what happened because like Xavier did end up convincing him to kind of like undo what he did.
Well, he made him do it, didn't he?
Well, yeah, but also he was like the way they were talking in that last episode. It was like Xavier was not forcing him by the end. Like he tried
True.
to force him in the beginning, but then after they were in like that comatose state, you know, then they kind of he did it voluntarily. I think he was like Magneto lives, and then he's like, haha. I don't know. I'm just saying that just kick Bastion's ass. That's all I'm saying. Like he deserves to be punished for what he did to Genosha, and don't just leave him because the way Magneto was doing it, like Bastion was still fine. Like his Sentinels were down, but he was still there.
He could have
He could
found another
still
way
go
around
do
it.
what he was doing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. You know something?
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You know something? I was thinking about this. Since you mentioned it. Oh my god. Fuck brain. What the hell? I just forgot what I was going to say. Wow.
It's about Magneto
It
or
was.
Bastion.
It's about Magneto. Damn. ADHD striked again. Oh my gosh.
We'll edit this part out.
Shit. And it was good too. It was something really good. Um, Magneto. Oh, something deeper that I was gonna mention. Him just wanting to go on Asteroid M, like the souped up Asteroid M 2.0. A part of me feels like it was kind of like a last ditch effort, which it is, but like it's Magneto being in a stressed out. Like if I Magneto's stressed. Magneto is stressed, hair falling out, not really, but hair falling
Mm-hmm.
out. Um, tired, just
Well,
very
he got
tired.
that good hair like Storm. Like they just use their mutant powers to like always be luscious.
Completely. But he's just tired. Cause imagine,
Yes.
you've seen two genocides of
Mm-hmm.
your people.
Yeah.
You've seen two genocides. You are beyond tired of trying to explain we matter. Like, you're saying we matter. Um, and at this point, you're just like, you know what, fuck it. I don't care as long as I get as many mutants as I can, go someplace else. We'll start anew. We'll do us. Is it the best idea? No, but I'm desperate for something at this point.
Listen, I do want to say I had a thought. Like at first, I was like, if Magneto does go into space and encounters the Shi'ar and everything, like, will they treat him the same way they treat Xavier and be like, we don't care about mutants? Or would he actually impress them by being different and being himself and be like he might actually hook up with Deathbird just to like get back at Charles and Landra and be like, like I had a whole fan fiction going on. Like, what would happen if he went into space?
I feel like he'd be agreeing with Deathbird that, yeah, Earth is a Milky Way ghetto. That's why I left it.
Exactly. And then they could just team up and take over whatever other planets they wanted.
Exactly. Actually, speaking about favorite moments, that was the crown jewel of moments I wasn't expecting. Because when she called Earth ghetto, that told me that there were some black people in the writers' room because
Yeah.
she called Earth a Milky Way ghetto. What?
Hmm.
Out of
And she
pocket.
wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong about it.
It is ghetto
I
here. It
mean,
is. It is. It is. As an Earthling, yeah, no, it is. She wasn't wrong.
uh, what I mean, it's just that whole episode. Like, this is why I can't be too mad at the Charles Landra plot because it had a lot of gems in it.
Hmm.
But why they had to do it on Storm's episode though?
I was thinking that. I was thinking that. I feel like they could have squeezed this in into maybe like 15 minutes or maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, he was taking over the bulk of that episode. Really, it's just not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Professor, like, I guess. Okay, so we talked about our favorite episodes and favorite moments. So I got a question for you. Well, actually, final question out of the list. Who's your favorite character in this
Ooh,
series?
tough question. My favorite character in this series. I mean, the easy answer is the true answer, which is Storm. I mean, I love Storm. I think she had some amazing moments this season. There was a lot of debate about how she did in the finale, but like, I'm not mad at it. I mean, I think we could get into that, but long story short, I mean, she did help save the day. She might not have had
She
like
did.
another baller moment like episode 1 and episode 6, but she was still involved. Like she was helping Jean bring the asteroid from crashing into Earth. But um, outside of Storm, just to give someone else some shine, I will say Nightcrawler. I love Nightcrawler.
He was
I
great,
really
actually.
I'm so excited that we got to see more of Nightcrawler, to see him get a title card at the beginning. Like, bless my boy Nightcrawler. Like, I'm so happy to see him as our little spiritual counselor. You know.
Honestly, like I loved seeing Nightcrawler mainly because I was kind of shocked that he was in the show as much. 'Cause I thought he was just gonna be like a little cameo or something like that. But when he became like, oh, you came back for the second half. He was here every single episode. Especially, actually, you know what? I got one more thing I want to talk about. When Rogue killed Trask,
It was a big moment.
it,
Yes.
it was a big moment. It was an emotional element. Actually, that may be up there with one of my favorite episodes as well too. But Freddie, were you a part of the people who was sitting there wondering why did they let Rogue drop him? Because
No.
I was sitting here thinking about it, and I was telling my partner, I was like, you know, Gene could have got his
Oh,
ass. Nightcrawler could have
oh
got
yeah.
his ass. Everybody,
I said
actually,
I said the same thing. Though. Like, were we talking about the characters or the writers?
the characters could have got his ass. The characters could have gotten
Exactly.
Trask. Uh,
Yeah.
like they could have gotten him. Hell, even Cyclops could have potentially grabbed him.
Cyclops might he could have maybe like shot an eye beam that would have like blasted him onto the next building or something.
Or he could have grabbed him and then like just like, slowed his little like, fall down
but
and
but but
shit.
but none of them wanted to, and Wolverine said it as much. He was like, she just did what we all wanted to do, and that's why none of them stopped it. Like Nightcrawler, more like you said, yeah, we were all kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing because why not? He was about to jump anyway.
And it's the way they were
But
like, no, be fucking for real. Be fucking for real. Oh my god. Okay, now my brain is like firing random ass moments. I'm also thinking back to when Madeline was revealed to be Madeline and Jean came back and she was like, Storm would have believed me.
would she though? Like Storm came back, she missed the whole thing. Like
Wait
she
a
didn't
minute.
know.
Wait, speaking of Storm missing things, I also want to bring up something too. Rogue didn't have to eat them all up like that. She didn't have to get them all like that. When she said something about, when she talked about Morph only being a part of the
She
team
was
for three
reading
minutes,
everybody. Yeah, she was like, Gene, what's Gene gonna do? Die again and come back? Like we've been there, done that.
or no, when Storm was like, Rogue, you can't turn your back on family, and she was like, girl, you was gone.
Yep, she had some tea for everybody at that moment. Like, yeah, like Rogue had a lot of great moments this season. But also I want to just mention Gambit because my heart still hurts. Like
I
he's
didn't think he was
still,
dead. I really did not at first.
I still think we're gonna get him coming back next season as one of Apocalypse's horsemen of death. But that remains to be seen. I do think it was a stronger choice to leave him dead for the season, but it's like it is painful though.
Hmm.
So, so like that's the downside of Nightcrawler getting a title card is that it came at the cost of Gambit.
What did it cost? It cost a Gambit. Mm-mm.
Was it worth it? It only cost everything.
My favorite character in this show. It's funny because within the first couple episodes, I would have said Cyclops within the first couple episodes, but then as the show went
Yeah,
on, I still liked Cyclops. I did. Um, but he wasn't really my favorite through this show. And my favorite through
Hmm.
this show, I would have to give it to Storm, but I'd also have to give it to Jean and then also Magneto. Uh,
Interesting.
I liked Jean in the show. I did, and honorable mention. Emma Frost for her cameo where she put that lipstick back on after she was out of the rubble.
I mean, let's just give Emma Frost that whole moment, that short moment in the title cards where she would like slam the psychic door shut in Xavier's face. Like
Yes, love that.
no one else could do that with as much flair as her. Um,
Love that.
but but on the topic of Jean though, to her credit, she didn't faint as much as she did in the old series.
Yes, honestly, and I loved that. I really did, and I was actually excited to see this characterization of Jean like do shit. It was actually she was dope in this show. Had a lot of big
Yeah.
feats, and it's funny because like up to my in my to my knowledge, when it came down to adaptations of Jean outside of the comics, like up until this point, X Men Evolution had the Jean that did the most stuff, whereas previously she just
Mhm.
faint and shit like that. So this
Mhm.
show to have her lifting buildings, doing all this psionic shit, like not flinching, like and also being a formidable person in combat, like she was going toe to toe with Sinister.
Yeah.
Loved
Me
that for her
too.
actually, and I don't know, it really makes me I'm happy that we got this show, and I actually love seeing Jean's character in this show, and I wish we would have gotten a little bit more. Okay, okay, this may be a little critique about the show, but I wish we would have gotten more room to breathe on certain character bits. Like for example,
Absolutely. Yeah.
um, I feel like the episode count was a little too short. If they would have gotten maybe like three more episodes, maybe two more for this season, it would have been able to like wrap up everything. Because I'm thinking about how the episode where Jean came back. This was right before the episode with the Genosha. No, was it? No, it was before John. I don't remember.
So it was Fire Made Flesh was with Maddie, and then
Okay.
four was Motendo Life Death, and then five was Remember It.
It was okay. It was remember it. Where she had that like argument with Scott and everything,
Hmm.
and there's that moment with her and Wolverine where she's talking about how she's trying to figure out her memories, and then she
Hmm.
finds out that Cyclops cheated on her, and that's wrapped up within the next episode. Now I get it. Shit is happening. They don't
Hmm.
got time to really talk about it,
True.
so they decide to reconcile.
Hmm.
My question is though, well, not really question, but more of a thought. I would have liked to have seen more of the struggle of like her trying to really like come to grips with her memories a little bit. The relationship with her and Scott. Would they divorce? Would they keep that relationship? What's happening?
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately, it
kind
was
of would
like
like to
when
see it.
Maddie died, Gene was like, "Okay, I'm Gene Prime again. I'm good. Like I'm back to being the number
Yeah.
one Gene Queen."
Yeah, I was thinking that because it's like, so it took her to die for you to be like, okay, yeah, Cable's my kid now.
I'm like, y'all are not even gonna bury Madeline. Like y'all buried Gambit. Like, why can't she have a funeral? This is your baby mama. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Wait a minute. You had a point. They did not bury her. So you're meaning to tell me Cyclops cheated on his wife with her clone, made a big deal about it too, even tried gaslighting Jean as to why it was okay, yet there was no funeral?
maybe they're just holding out hope that she's still out there. I mean, she could still be alive. She might be in limbo, ruling over limbo, or she might just pop up somewhere. Who knows? We didn't see her. We didn't see her remains. So that's the rule. If you don't see a body, they must still be alive, right?
Did we say, okay, we did see Gambit's body. Yeah, he's dead. Damn. Okay, points. I also thought Valerie Cooper was going to be Mystique.
That was a big fan speculation. I will say I don't know if I was ever fully on board with that. I think
Really?
the podcast record goes to show that I was kind of like, I think she's just kind of better as a human ally. But I could have. I was waiting though. I was trying to see, are they going to go that way? Like I was like, they could have gone that way. I think, um, you know, I'm kind of glad that they didn't because it didn't make a lot of sense to me if Bastion. didn't realize the mutant was right there in his secret headquarters like the whole time.
Hmm.
But who knows? Mystique is good at what she does, I guess. So maybe she could have like camouflaged her DNA. I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, it still could happen. It could happen next season. We don't know. Anything's open. I have a question for you though.
Hmm.
Who is the worst time traveler? Cable or Bishop?
I'd say Bishop because at least Cable was at the place at the right time, but he just couldn't stay. Whereas Cable, bitch, why did you come so late?
Right? Bishop, yeah. Like okay, so like Cable, yeah, he failed 200 times trying to stop the attack on Genosha. Bishop, he lost baby Cable and
Yeah,
then came back all late. So
yeah, like real late. Like
why
what?
are they both so bad at this? Like you're a time traveler. How are you late?
Make it make sense. It makes no sense to me.
I kind of get that. I appreciate that little MCU nod about like the fixed point and like the Comertage and like just like Doctor Strange and all that, where they're like, and we see this all the time now, canon events, things that you can't change. But even outside of that, even going back to the old '90s series, they were not good at time travel. Like Bishop kept going back and forth trying to fix things and then screwing them up even worse, and then Cable, like he was fighting for a future that was a wasteland. Like what are you doing? It didn't make any sense.
I don't
It still
know.
doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Um. Oh my gosh, I was gonna shit. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, before we wrap this up, I got one more question, and then we're gonna be gone. Uh, what is something you want to see incorporated moving forward into the series? Because season two, they're in the editing process, so it's already done. It's in the bag. But season three and season four, they're gonna start working on those after season two. That's if they get renewed. But um, when it comes down to it, what is some X-Men stuff you want to see adapted within this show? Like, do you want them to do Krakoa era, or do you want to wait and see? Or is there any other
Well,
stories you like to see?
I feel like the Genosha element is like almost the same as Krakoa, and they were like, we'll give you 5 minutes of it, and that's it. I don't really see them going back to that well, so to speak. But I am excited for Apocalypse next season. We get old Apocalypse, young Apocalypse. We get the future with Cable, so that could be interesting. Um, as far as things we don't know about, like I really do think that they need to bring in Kitty Pryde, Shadow Cat. We got a little
Yes, we got
Easter
we
egg
got an
of her
Easter
on the
egg.
wall at the end, so that's like enough for me to just be like, yes, they're gonna do it. I think why not? Like they got Kitty Pryde, they got Stryker. I think they could definitely go the route of God loves, man kills, and just kind of tell storylines of that nature. Um, uh, Things I want to see. I want to see the New Mutants. Like we got Roberto da Costa this season. There's been a lot of controversy around that,
Ooh, I got some
and
opinions. I got some opinions on
right,
that.
I
But
don't know if you
continue.
want to get all into it, but all I can say is that I think if they at least bring in the rest of the New Mutants, yeah, I think that'll help people accept him more. you know, uh,
Yeah,
I don't know. But
maybe. I
then
don't
again,
know. I don't know.
but but then again, maybe they need to bring in Generation X and like Jubilee's crew.
That'd be
Just bring in
cool.
more mutants. I mean, like bring them all in. I'll be fine with that.
I wouldn't be opposed to a spinoff.
Hmm. I'm probably one of the biggest doubters because like I've been saying like it's just such a huge undertaking to make an animated show. There was some news today. Like I think Brad Winderbaum was like, "Well, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. It's just that we're going to focus on X Men right now." And, like as far as like the Spider-Man spinoff, a lot of people have been hoping for like a Spider-Man at the very least, Spider-Man '90s. But I don't know if they're just. I just don't know if
I don't know.
with the time it takes, they'll be able to greenlight that and keep the interest going. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'd love to see it. I would watch it. I'm just saying. I just don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon.
I know that the show performed more than they expected it to.
Hmm.
Better than it did. It didn't do huge, like it did huge numbers, but it didn't do gangbuster numbers. Like didn't do
I
like
mean, it aired at 3 in the morning. Like, what do you
yeah.
expect? It's on Disney Plus. Like if they put this on like somewhere that's more accessible to people, then maybe it might have done even more better. Like it was still great, but I think they could definitely, if they change the time that it drops and change, and maybe if they could do something like prime time with it, I think it would be huge.
I'm gonna cut this out the show mainly because it's a complete tangent. Imagine if like not just Disney, but just some network in general, they had a property that they know everyone was gonna watch, and they were like, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna only show it on cable, and just to see if cable is still viable, and see
Mm-hmm.
how many people actually gets cable or either finds a way to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a part of me feels like if some network did that, or if like Disney or just anybody did that, then we may see the resurgence of like TV.
I mean, that could be interesting.
Curiosity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, that was my little soapbox. I'm gonna cut that out. But oh god, there's something else I'm gonna say. But yeah, that was about it. Questions wise. Um, anyways, thanks for being.
Is,
No, go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to see if there's any other characters we didn't hit. You want to just kind of talk about before we wrap up? Like, I guess Wolverine or more for like, I don't know.
I loved Morph. I want to see more
I did too.
Morph. I want to see more Morph. And then Wolverine. I don't want to say that he like Wolverine was a great side character. Actually, Wolverine was great in this show. I loved Wolverine in this show. Just because I'm saying that doesn't mean we need to see more of him, but I love it. Loved what he
Hmm. Yeah, like
what he was
we got
doing.
just enough Wolverine.
Yep, had a lot of badass moments, especially when the mansion was on fire and he was like, "Oh shit!" He started fucking him up. Loved
Yeah, he
it.
had some badass moments. Like just a little Wolverine on the side is all I need. I mean, plus we got the like we talked about up top the Deadpool Wolverine movies coming out. We'll get plenty of Wolverine. So on this show, definitely let all the other characters shine a bit. Yeah, I mean, what else can be said? I think they definitely. I want to give the show props for just putting shine on each character because other X Men adaptations don't always do that, and it was
Agreed.
great to see.
So since we're wrapping this up, I'm gonna ask you the age old question. Uh, what would you rank X Men '97 season one out of five? And do you think it will stand the test of time?
I just have to give it a 10. 10 Roman numeral X. Like I think 10, 10, 10 across the board because why not? It was that great. Like I loved it. Um, any complaints I have, don't take away from me loving it. So just gonna say it's great, and I think it will stand the test of time. Like if the '90s series has been so beloved up till now, I think this new series is going to really, just have a long lasting impact, especially when we see how many more seasons it gets and how far it goes. So unless they really somehow fumble the ball, like, and they could, but I hope that they won't. Like this first season just shows that they if they stick to what they're doing, it could be great. It could continue to be great.
True. I'd say, yeah, I'd agree with you. I would say this gets in Roman numeral X, which is the first of this show to break the scale.
Woo!
Uh, and was there some moments where there were like little problems, but like the problems that are in the show, they're very nitpicky, very small problems, I'd say. And would I be rewatching this? Hell's yes. This is enjoyable. The animation is gorgeous. The character design is gorgeous. The music amazing. Which they're releasing the actual like the score of this show too.
Yes.
Not just the theme song, but like the full score.
I think it's coming out tomorrow. Yeah.
I think so. And you know
May
what? If they release
24th.
a vinyl, I want that. Birthday's coming up in July, so I will
Ooh,
get that.
yes. All right.
But you heard it here first, Soups. This has an X. So 10. Broke the damn
Ding 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 ding
scales.
ding 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 ding.
Yes. But I want to know, what would you guys rate X-Men 97 season 1, and do you think it will stand the test of time? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and be sure to let us know on the socials. Instagram at Super Saturdays Podcast, TikTok at Super Saturdays Pod, and Twitter at Super Saturday PC, where your messages and reviews can make their way on the show. This is Super Saturdays. I'm Damon.
And I'm Freddy. You can find me at DMV on most platforms, primarily Threads right now, and YouTube. So thanks again, Damon.
Of course. And as always, Soups, see you next Saturday.